Hello, everyone. We are here once again, and today we have a special guest. Nacho, do you want to say something about yourself?
Yeah, hello. I'm Nacho from Zaragoza. I'm going to give a quick hand to these people with JavaScript things that are so cool and nice, right?
Yeah, we have
Thank you.
decided to do JavaScript, and we don't know much about JavaScript. So Nacho is here to help us get started. But before that, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Pedro. I'm connecting from Barcelona.
I'm
Marco,
Alessandro.
hello, I'm connecting from London.
I'm Alessandro from London as well.
Cool. So shall we get started? So
Let's
today
go.
we had this idea of last time we created the user stories for the features, and today the idea is to go through and do a mini planning session. There's going to probably be a lot of discussion between us on priority of user stories, but we still wanted to record this because we think it's useful to see how a planning session can go. We'll do it in remote. Yeah, let's get started. So we have a few user stories here, and we need to give them some priority order and see what would we do first. Let's open the discussion. What's the most important user story? The killer feature that we need to get started. I'll probably be driving. So just let me know and how we organize this.
Maybe we want to have a quick read of them, at least at the feature level.
Okay, so should be able to add a mob using its name. Should be able to update mobber's name. Should be able to remove a mobber. Should be able to designate a driver role. Should be able to designate a navigator role. Should be able to set up the round duration. Should be able to set braking duration. Should be able to set brake frequency. Should be able to set round completion notification type. Should be able to set entire session duration. So this is sort of all the setup features before we actually start doing the mob. And then once we start, we have a few more. Should be able to start a round. Should be able to pause a round. Should be able to resume a paused round. Should be able to track session duration. Should notify when a round ends. Should be able to notify of break start. Should be able to notify of break end. Should be able to display round progress, a clock. Should rotate roles in the end of a round, and should pause time when a round ends. I went fairly quickly. If you need to go deeper into this, you can always look at the previous video where we created all these user stories. So would we focus on the round facilitation, or do we need some setup? What do you guys think? What should we do?
I think there is a dependency between these stories. For example, we cannot remove a mobber that hasn't been added, and if we don't know how we can't add mobbers, then definitely we can't remove them, for example.
Okay, so this one is yeah, this needs to be done after this one. Okay. Yeah. But what user story? How? Yeah, Marco, go.
My opinion, it's I would start more or less with the same order that they are here. It seems to me that setting up some stuff is gonna make it easier to go into the round part of the stories, because of course the round part needs to pick up some information. So to me, it feels quite natural go through this order.
Yeah, sounds good to you to go through this order. Let me just have a look at it. Should be all set up.
Makes sense. I mean,
it makes sense to you.
Yeah, we need to begin with adding at least mobbers or something. We need to input data, and then from there we can decide what makes more sense.
Yeah.
If we want to go into the customization of those mobbers or just go with the sessions.
Yeah, but for instance,
also because to me there's no functionality here.
No, I agree. Well, there is something, but it doesn't really add a lot of value. That's why I was going through it. But for instance, these two stories that I'm highlighting, we could do them later. Yeah. I would lower the priority on them. What do you think?
Yeah, you could start with this application without modifying mobs and would deliver value. You
Yeah,
could
we can
just
just
re-enter
add a mob.
and that's it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna move this to the end, if you all agree. Right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that. Give me a second. I'll move them to the end in here. So the first one is now should add a mob using its name, should be able to designate the driver's role, sounds good. Should be able to take the sounds good. Set the round duration, sounds good. Break duration, break frequency. Yeah, it sounds good like this. I don't know. For me, it makes sense to have this order.
Yeah.
It was just the other two that looked less priority. Does this look okay to you? Do you want to work on the acceptance? Yeah, go.
Yeah, what I think is that anyway, this application needs all these features in order to give some value. It would be incomplete without. So I don't see much value in spend too much time in understand what we can do before or after in terms of feature, because anyway we need to do them all.
Yeah, I agree.
Neither I see much quick win if we can do something before order to give big advantages. It's
yeah, I agree. We already went for the MVP feature, and sometimes I see that happening on planning where we just keep on discussing and wasting a lot of time. I'm not a big fan of those planning sessions. So something easy, just prioritize the backlog, and I guess we can get started now.
Yeah, to me.
Do you want to give points to the stories? Does that make sense to you? Do you feel the need to do that?
I feel itchy only to hear about that.
Oh, okay. Maybe you want to share more about that.
Yeah, well, I believe that the time we will stay here talk about estimations is better we invest it in doing it, right? It's not gonna change the amount of time we are gonna taking it.
Yes, also many times estimates are taken as a commitment and defeating the purpose of agile and a lean way of working, where you want to deliver as quickly as possible, as much as possible value, but you can't plan too much ahead. Otherwise, we wouldn't need agile.
Yeah, so we'll skip the estimating the user story sizes and get started with writing the acceptance criteria. How do you want to do the acceptance criteria? Do you want to write it in here, or do we go straight into code and start writing the acceptance?
Straight into code. I vote for straight into code.
Alex.
That's fine. Let's go straight into code.
Yeah, let's go to it.
This way we will be forced into capturing the business language straight away into the code.
Yeah, even if they are empty methods, but to me, there's no point in doing it here. Otherwise, we need to cut and paste it.
All right. Cool. So maybe Nacho, you should drive, because we are all a bit...
I'll start for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see this, right? Perfect. So what we have done here is just creating a basic view project, and we just created it with the guide, executing the first command and put it all our options. We decided to go for Cypress to do acceptance test. We had some doubts of how to approach, but for now, I usually do this, so we're going to go with it. And if we don't like it, there's always time to change, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, however, at this stage, we don't need to implement the test. We just need to define.
Yeah, totally. So we are going to define the acceptance criteria, right? With some semantic things. We could use Gherkin or stuff like that, but I don't know if it's necessary.
Oh, we can have a discussion about the virtues of using Gherkin or
Yeah.
using something else. Does anyone want to say anything about it?
Well,
I don't especially like Gherkin, to be honest, unless the business is really, really interested and goes into the code, and that might give them an interest. I've worked in projects where business were writing the Gherkin user stories. If they are not really interested, I tend to stay away from Gherkin. It just adds another level.
For me, it's not a big deal. It's the Gherkin thing is just about the usual separation between arrange, act, assert, or given one day. It doesn't really matter how we call it. I think the problem with Gherkin is that it has been strongly being related to Selenium and WebDriver kind of stuff, which basically hijacked this syntax, and there is a misunderstanding of that. I don't care about the syntax, and for me, given the way is more than fine. As far as we create it with a mindset of translating an example here into code of the feature we want to prove, and that's it.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
Yeah.
many times there's a misunderstanding of the level of abstraction of the Gherkin scenarios, where people specify all the implementation details straight away in the scenario, which of course then it breaks when you change something, for example in the UI, while instead in the scenarios usually you want to capture the business value and the intent, so the behavior of the system and the intent of the user, not how it's implemented. That's actually something that should happen in a layer of abstraction that is below that. And for that reason, this is why we could express the Gherkin language straight away into the code without having to maintain also the textual files that add overhead on top of everything. So if you have an expressive language and a powerful testing framework, you can use your testing framework of choice and make your code look like English prose instead of a sequence of operations, or having to maintain a mapping between a text file and your implementation.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. So what I will do is I'll copy the first user story. I'll put it there as a comment so we don't lose track, and then I'll let Nasha fly. Let me just paste here. I'm assuming comments in here are the same.
Yeah.
No, this. All right. Get started.
We
Okay.
can leave the first line there. What is the doc Cypress IO there?
Oh, it's just the setup comes with the documentation, right? So it has all the files commented, so people can know about it. Like here in the plugins, you also have all commented and everything. It's fine if you don't know about it.
So
fantastic. That's for rookies, right? We don't need it.
Thank you so much. This is the end of the video for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's time to say goodbye. We'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to like if you like the video, and if you really want to keep up to date on what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe and buy the book. We need the money. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.